check. Welcome to the Your Voice Matters podcast. I hope you're having a lovely day, but if you're not, stick around and let these positive vibes put you in an awesome place. Big shout out to all my listeners, both domestic and international. We are so glad you're here. And a big applause to our wonderful tech guru, Chance. He makes everything work. And let me be honest with you, this is like a wires everywhere. We have an amazing guest for us today, and she's a good friend of mine, Robin McCoy. She is really a realtor, and she's been doing that for how many years?
17, 18, something like that.
But here in the last year or two, she's got into helping seniors. She's a senior coach, senior home coach.
Senior home coach, that's a good term. Yeah. You know, I kind of make it up as I go, I guess.
Yeah.
Call me whatever you want, just call me.
No, but we realize as we've gotten older, we realize our parents have gotten older and all that, and there's certain things that you really have to encourage them, and they are usually from a generation that needs no help. You know, they're just, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, very independent, especially the older boomers and the one before them. You know, my mom is 89, so that generation grew up in the Depression era and things like that, and they are fiercely independent. And what I have found is sometimes they won't ask for help that they may need, and they don't recognize maybe when they do need the help. And so things like we're doing here today and just talking about it, I think helps not only the individual themselves, but also their adult children and loved ones, help just kind of recognize how they can help and still remain independent.
Right. And, you know, you pass that on to your kids. Because if your kids are around, they realize like, oh, no, Mom, just take it easy. Go sit down, have your cup of coffee. I'll take care of this.
Yeah.
And don't be too proud to actually take help.
Well, no, I mean, that's the hardest part, too, I think, is not only, first of all, asking for it, but then secondly, accepting it when it's offered.
Yes.
It's okay to ask and accept help.
Yes.
At any age.
Yes.
Anybody.
That's like the whole...
That's the blanket statement for all generations.
Because I know it depends on... I don't know, I was always raised to be independent. You know, you can figure this out, you know, and to me that was the biggest thing. It's like, oh, yeah, I can figure this out. Well, sometimes you need somebody else to help.
Sometimes you do, and it's okay.
Yeah. But let's talk about, like, if you have to downsize. You know, when do you make that choice? You know, a lot of times people go, oh, you know, I'm still okay. I'm still in my house, you know. But if you notice, as you get older, you collect some.
Well, you know? Yeah. And I think it's making a plan, right? That's one of the things that I always want to talk about. And I have to think about this too, right? At 62, I got to think about these things. And it's making a plan while you are still physically able to carry that plan out, and while you can still make those decisions for yourself.
Yes, that is true.
I mean, when, you know, I tell the story a lot, when my mother, a couple of years ago, she started falling and things like that, all of a sudden the decisions were all taken away from her, 100%. She suddenly had because she couldn't walk anymore, so we had to make a decision about where she was going to live, and then it had to be a lot smaller, so we made the decisions on what was going with her, and then where she was going and all those things. And so making decisions in urgency means you don't really get to make the decisions you want.
Yes, or the decisions she wants.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, right.
They get made for you.
Yeah, and then that makes them feel even helpless.
Yeah, I mean, she just kind of, I mean, she's fine now, but for, you know, a period, she was just, you know, and it really affected her physically as well, right? And it took a couple of months for her, just for her mental capacity to come back.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because the stress of all of it was, you know, hospitals and rehabs and moving and all those things. And she just had a small apartment. But there was still an ice bucket that was, you can look at pictures of me when I was 3.
She still has
that ice bucket was in that apartment when we moved her out. And I couldn't tell you if there'd been an ice cube ever in it. So there's all that stuff, no matter where you live or how old you are.
Yeah. But decluttering is like, you know, I think that you should go through every so often and declutter. I mean, just everybody. And you know, I'm guilty of this because I'll have someone says, oh, so-and-so gave me this, and I got this award when I was 3, or, you know, and you had to think, well, if you die, they're going to throw it away.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you had the experience, you've lived it.
You had the emotional, you had the memory.
Yes.
You know, I tell people when I do talks and we talk about decluttering, and people say, but I open up a box or a drawer and there's all these birthday cards or greeting cards, Christmas cards, all the cards. And I stop and I go, okay, here, when somebody gives you a card, it's the joy of them giving it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the joy of you receiving it. That moment is over, right? You enjoyed it. You are grateful that they thought of you, that they thought enough to send that to you. They wanted to express whatever emotion or feelings they had towards you. That has been satisfied on both sides. So it's okay to get rid of the card, especially if it's been 20 years since you received it.
It's a special card. But I have a question. Probably y'all are thinking about this too, because in my family, I'm the one that always keeps I have my grandmother's stuff, you know, and it's one she crocheted or tablecloth, and I have my husband's great grandmother's, and I'm thinking, who do I pass that down to?
They don't want it.
They don't want it. That's why
Nobody wants it.
somebody
I love you and I love your grandmother, but nobody wants her crocheted tablecloth.
No, and she did it with her
She
mother.
doesn't want it.
No, she died. I got it. And that is a thing, because it seems like there's always one person in the family that gets.
It's usually the oldest daughter.
It's not. It's me. I'm
Okay.
second.
The second. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I take that back. She takes all the good stuff. I get the.
Okay, then you get the. Well, but the truth is, right? And we look at all the things and we say, well, maybe somebody would want this. And, you know, even when we were going through my mom's apartment, my sister took her china, and I'm like, you can have it. I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Christmas ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I may just want to see. I mean, it's things like that I opened up one of my mother's drawers, and the entire thing was filled with legs pantyhose in the egg. Long ago it's been since legs pantyhose have been in the egg, and she hasn't worked in decades, and they were still in that drawer.
Nobody wears those.
I probably, but in the legs eggs. So these are the things that are in people's houses. And one of the things that I think happens too is, and you've got to make, and here's part of the plan, right?
Okay.
Here's the plan.
Okay.
Let's say you've lived in this house, your kids were raised there, their bedrooms where they grew up are up there, and they've still got all their stuff in that bedroom.
They didn't want to take it with them.
Soccer trophies, pom-poms, prom dresses, all the things of a childhood. But they've stayed there. So now you're just a free storage unit. So you need to tell your kids and set a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
You need to come to the house, and any of that stuff in that room, if you want it, you need to get it. And you need to get it by Thanksgiving, because if not, it's up to me. And you cannot holler that you wanted that, because you have a deadline. So come get your stuff, or I'm moving it on out of this house. Whether that's donating, whether that's throwing it in the trash, whether that's whatever it is you want to do with it. But give people a deadline to come get their stuff out of your house.
And that's true. I don't really have to worry about that, because my daughter throws everything away. You know, I mean, academic books she takes to half price.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of places that will take your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are places, and there's ways of downsizing it, right? I mean, you can sell it, and I've got resources that, Max sold and some other things, because some things do, in fact, have value. Maybe you have artwork. Maybe you have instruments. Maybe you have a boat. Maybe you have, camping equipment. Maybe you've got, all kinds of stuff, right? That actually does have value that somebody, will want and use. Your china? Probably not. It's not going to get $300 or $400. You're going to get $50 at best for grandma's china. You just are. Somebody's going to buy that and break it and use it in art projects. They're going to make mosaics out of it. They're going to do something else. They're going to, but it's not, people just don't use it anymore. I have a very good friend who's 30 years younger than me. And so I'm about the age of her parents. And she will say, your generation, you guys don't throw away anything. My parents' house is so full. And I talk about,
Yeah.
And I said, well, we come from that generation that never, because it was Depression era. You kept everything, right?
Right, yeah.
And so now we have some of that, but we don't want it.
Yeah.
But we don't quite know how to get rid of it. And then her generation, the 30 years,
right.
They're like, we just don't even keep it. Or they buy a lot, but they get rid of a lot. They just They just move it through their life.
Yeah.
And so it's transitioning a little bit, I think, hopefully.
Well, I think too, it depends. See, I'm a person like, and I know a lot of people are, memories are important to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
sure.
that doesn't actually mean that your memories are attached to an object. It might refresh those memories, but the memories you have, you get to keep. And I think that, do it in photographs.
And here's the thing about photographs, too. Okay, so again, we are from the generation that we had actual photographs. They weren't, they weren't all digital, right? So one thing is, if you've got this big box of photographs, if it is just the picture of a mountain, throw it away. You don't need that. If you don't know any of the people in the picture, throw it away. It's okay to throw away photographs as well. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's your daughter's graduation picture or your son's medical school graduation or your wedding photo or something like that, that's different. Mm-hmm. But all those vacation pictures you took at the beach of just the beach, it was pretty and it's still pretty, but you can throw those away. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's like give yourself permission to get rid of that
That's
stuff.
right. Just a permission. I know here recently, my sister died, my oldest sister, and she had all of my mom's pictures. So they sorted them all out and sent the ones, just a handful, just the ones that we were in. It was my husband back when we first got married.
Right.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, those are cool. And you can digitize those because the grandkids and the great-grandkids don't want the photograph, but they would think it's pretty cool to see mom and dad's wedding picture or grandma and grandpa's wedding picture. Mm-hmm. That would be kind of cool for them, but it's going to need to be digitized. And there are good resources. There's some things that are expensive, but there's some really good resources out there that everybody could then put all their photos on. You could digitize the old ones. The kids put their new ones from college or whatever, and now the whole family has access to all of them, and you can tell the story about yours, right? Tell the story about... There's a photograph of my great-grandfather, so my mother's grandfather, who homesteaded the land outside of Star City, Arkansas. Homesteaded it, right? So he had this little 2-room house. I mean, I remember it like I'm sitting on that porch today.
Yeah.
And a porch and a porch swing. And there's a picture of my great-grandfather on that porch swing. And the cool thing is telling the story about great-grandpa and that house and how he built it and homesteaded those 30 acres or whatever they were on that dirt road in Star City, Arkansas, and how we used to go and he had the pump and my sister loved the water. Pump the water in the outhouse and the porch swing and all those things. So it's a story behind that, not the actual photograph itself. But if I have that photograph, now I can tell people that.
Well, that's a great idea because you can take everything you want and just do it and give it to your siblings or your kids. But that's awesome because then you can get rid of the rest of it.
Yeah, because now you can get rid of the physical photograph that's deteriorating anyway, that is faded and deteriorated and taking up space. And then you're going to die and nobody's going to know who that old man on the porch is.
Yeah, that's sad.
Because he's been gone since I was 12, right? I mean, it's true though, right?
True.
All those old stories are dying with the people. And so this is by digitizing yours and mixing them in with the current ones of the kids and all that, it tells your family story.
I like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. But my one of my questions too is, how do you stay, as you grow older, how do you stay mentally, cute? And you want to stay young.
Well, you want to stay sharp, and you want to be able to. You don't want to lose your ability to make decisions and think clearly. Yeah. Again, I always use my mom as an example. If her body was working, if she could walk, she'd be killing 89. That woman has read over 300 books in the last 2 years. She reads 4 to 5 books a week and does crossword puzzles and all the things. So cognitively, she's great, but her legs don't work anymore, right? So that kind of sucks. Now, I just did an interview on my podcast with, his name's Dr. David, and I'm going to try to pronounce his last name. He is from Nigeria, and he has done in-depth research on nutrients and nutraceuticals and how they improve and can repair your brain. He has research and examples in his own practice of people who are having cognitive difficulties, getting high doses of, things like vitamin D and B12 and another B1 or something. I can't remember the other B1, K2, just some of these that are actually untangling the neuro wires in their brain and clearing that out. And they are actually coming back from some forms of dementia just by eating right and getting enough of the nutrients that we need. And he started his research in Nigeria with children, abused, poor, malnourished children, and saw what an incredible
difference.
Difference it made. And so they said, well, what will this do to our seniors? And started the research in doing it there. And, I would say go, when you're through with this podcast, go watch my podcast with Dr. David, because I was astounded.
Well, real quick, let Robin give you her podcast.
Okay.
Because we're going to showcase her podcast.
Well, my podcast is called Relax, I've Got This, Embracing Life After 60. And it is really talking about all the things that we're just talking about, just everything into this next chapter of our life, right? How do we stay mentally alert and young? How do we stay independent? How do we still do the things that we want to do? Travel. There's episodes in there, traveling alone, solo traveling with a group. Dating after 60. If you find yourself single again or still or whatever that looks like for you, how do you do that? How to not be scammed? Oh. I've got a couple of those. One with a former secret agent or a special agent. With the FBI in cybersecurity and all of that. And I've got a whole thing on how the romance scams and the money scams and the relative scams and how to keep yourself safe there as well. So it's just really anything that comes up as we get older. And talking about, like we were just saying, doing things while you still can and before it gets into urgency.
Right. And actually, I think too, a lot of seniors kind of just stay with themselves or stay within a certain group. And my mom, she says, I have to make new friends because all my old friends are dying and I don't want to be around those old people. But she had this.
My grandmother was that way. But Grandma, you're old. You're 85.
But she says, because sometimes people get to the point where they just, you get stuck in your ways, well, even young people do that. But to actually go and learn and be around younger people that actually want to, they really kind of like you because you're a different generation. You think differently, and you can learn.
Well, in isolation, we talked about malnutrition being one of the. Over 50%, 60% of all seniors are malnourished. Isolation is probably the number one. I hate to use the word killer, but cause of death for seniors, people in their 70s, 80s, 90s. They get isolated, and because like your mother said, all my friends are dying. Right. My mother's the opposite. She'd rather just be by herself. And so she was isolated for a long time with just me and my sister coming to see her in that apartment where she lived. And now where she's in a residential care home and the caregivers come in and talk to her. There's a resident there now that is isn't suffering from dementia and comes in and chats with her. So she sees other people. She talks to them. She's reading books. So her isolation is less.
Yes.
So therefore her health is better.
Right. And her mental health.
Overall.
Everything.
And so isolation is a big deal with our seniors. And so, and I always say everybody knows a senior, whether it's a neighbor or it's a family member or it's somebody at your church or everybody knows a senior. Mm-hmm. So let's just check on them.
Oh, well, we have this lady that walks, she walks all the time. I think she's close to 80. She walks and she lives like 2 or 3 blocks over and she goes, well, the sun's kind of hot, so I just decided to walk early today, and the thing is, she walks by herself, and I bet she probably can outwalk me. She's been doing this for years, but she doesn't she lives by herself. Yeah. So she doesn't I'm going to sit here and watch TV. No, she gets out and does stuff. And I think that's the important thing because if you get into the habit of staying in, not communicating with people, not feeling like, sometimes you don't feel like going anywhere.
I feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. So, but you have to make yourself get up and go. Because
and that's why, senior community centers, not a senior living community. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the city-run activity centers that have little workout rooms. They do Tai Chi. They have yoga. They have knitting clubs. They have presentations on different things. You can go just sit there and read a book. You can do whatever, but you are around other people, and that's vital.
Yes.
That's vital to avoid that isolation.
Well, I think, we need to talk about physical. When you get older, things kind of like don't work the same. All this stuff that's laying on the, I don't know whether you can see it or not, on the table.
We'll pick it up.
But yeah, that's true. My husband had ALS, and ALS, if you don't know, there's no cure for it, but it attacks the muscles. It attacks your breathing. You can't walk. You get to the point where you can't breathe. And so he was an engineer. So he says, well, we got to figure out something I can use, And the first things we got was these silverware. They're big. And he had a problem gripping his regular fork would just fall out of his hand.
Yeah. So you need good. Yeah. Well, and I would say this is probably good for people that have arthritis.
Yes.
And other, and it just as you get older, you've really got to work on your grip strength.
Yeah.
And so, being able, it just gives you a good handle on.
Yeah. And I mean, these now, I hate to, like I say, you can get you don't even have to go anywhere.
Big A. Call it the Big A store. Yeah. We won't name them.
But that worked fine for him. And to the point, he actually got to where, it was really kind of hard.
So he was still able to feed himself because he had utensils that he could hold on, whether he was shaking. Parkinson's causes shaking. So this still gives a big, something to hold on to. It's just easier to hold on to.
And they're different sizes, so some fit people better than others. And he had favorites, and this one is a rocker.
This guy?
It's a rocker knife. And like when you can't cut stuff, this is really kind of easy to do.
Oh, so it almost looks like what that looks like is a pastry blender.
Yes.
Kind of a thing, but it works this way, so you can cut up your chicken and you can cut up your, so it's, again, and got that big handle so that you can
hang on to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those there are, these are for opening jars. And there's one that I have at home, and it's shaped like this.
I've seen those.
Why? And has little, you can open a medicine bottle to a gallon milk. It was, these you can like slide back and forth.
And so then do you just slide it around there and then just do that?
And just do that. And the thing is, and whether you have a big one, this one he got for smaller stuff. And these are real handy too. And if you're having trouble, you might as well make your life easy.
Yeah.
Because it gets frustrating when you can't get your...
I'll tell you what, when I can't get my jar of salsa open and I have to go to my husband, that really upsets me. When I had a broken wrist and I couldn't do things.
I have a broken thumb. Probably so.
So, I don't care if you're 80 or 40 or 60. When you can't open those jars, it kind of takes you off.
Yeah, I know. It really does. It's like, what's wrong with me? But no, I broke my thumb. I was taking out the recycle bin, and it flipped over and broke my thumb.
Ouch.
So be careful.
But these are good. I haven't seen these. These almost look like, high industrial strength things, right? Those are pretty heavy duty.
If if it doesn't, you can, I think it snaps down here and locks when you get it to the right place.
Oh, so you can get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then and you can just hold it in there.
So anyway.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I've never seen those.
Yeah. And these, like, if you have trouble walking or you just put this in your shoe.
And it just kind of helps support your legs.
And it helps support your legs. And it comes open, so you can make it as small or as large as you want. And Jerry wore these all the time. He's got another one. He doesn't have one leg, but he's got... He's got another one, and it really helped us to stability. Because sometimes when you're sick or you're not really, you're
just
straight or wobbly, you get kind of wobbly, and this kind of like makes
you just kind of holds you
in place, so you don't fall, and that's important.
Because just to mention real quickly too, you can be just fine, and a fall can change everything.
That's true.
A fall can change everything, and by your neighbor who does all her walking, she's staying strong and she's working keeping her back and her core muscles and her legs strong to help eliminate those falls. because you can be in perfectly fine shape and you just
Trip.
step wrong on something. Rugs are the detriment, and
That's
those
true.
thresholds in your house. You can do assessments to make sure your house is safe for you as you age, and because you can be just fine, and one little slip can change everything, and then all of a sudden you can't live alone anymore, and you can't live in your house. Again, it's that planning.
That's it. Planning.
It's that planning
Before.
ahead. What
Yeah.
do I need to do in case something should go sideways, right? In case I get ill, or in case I fall and I hurt my knee and now I'm in a wheelchair, I need a cane or a walker or something. In case, so that you can age in place in your home as long as you possibly can and you desire to.
Well, they do have something called the Ramp Project. Anyway, the funny thing about it is when my daughter was in high school, they did community service every month. And this is one of their community services. But they have leaders that do this. But the Ramp Project, they build ramps. And they build them for people who are disabled, and they build them free.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because when my husband got into a wheelchair, you know, and like picking him up, you know, we have 3 steps up to our door. There was no way.
There's no way that's happening.
And they also, when you get in, have a wheelchair and everything else, you know, where your threshold is to your door, they put like a rubber seal around it, so it's just an easy, smooth time to go in. And that was like really, really helpful.
But yeah, that's just safeguarding your house so that you can stay in it longer.
Yes, yes.
And I just want to say too, aging in place, when you hear that phrase, that doesn't necessarily mean aging in the house you've been in the last 40 years where it's 4 bedrooms and all the bathrooms are upstairs and now you can't get up there. Aging in place can also be, all right, let's get rid of this big giant house. Let's move into a 3-2 on one floor with a smaller lot, and then we can age in place here, right? Where it's all on one floor, where there aren't steps going up to the front door, where, you know, that it's got a walk-in shower already. All that kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, we have an older house, which is like 1 story, but it was built in the mid-'60s. So the doors to the bathroom are tiny, like your wheelchair will not fit. It's like an inch off. So they do have companies that will come out. So our master bathroom, we had somebody come out and enlarge it. And it just needed to be enlarged, the doors and everything else.
Now, houses that are being built have wider doorways.
Yes.
They have less thresholds. Most of the primary bathrooms have a walk-in shower.
Yeah.
So now we just need to normalize building homes without steps up the front, or maybe even just putting a ramp on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I mean, it's not just seniors that need some of this. And so let's normalize some of this and don't say that, well, that house looks terrible because it's got a ramp on the front. How about it's a multi-generational, multifunctional home?
You just paint the ramp and hang flowers on it.
Yes.
Do it.
Because you know what? You can fall and break your ankle, and now you can't get up those stairs either.
Done that.
Replacement or a knee replacement or anything else. So I'm just saying normalize functional houses and homes.
Yes.
That's my little soapbox.
But, you know, like a lot of other stuff now, this is great. It is, you know, how sometimes your hands get arthritis or they get whatever. This helps you put your shoes on. It goes in the back of your heel like this, and then you just kind of lift it up, and it just
So you're putting your foot in here, and then just put your in the shoe, and then just pull that up and
pull it back up, and it's done. And it really helps.
You don't have to bend over.
Or if, like me, I was putting my finger down there and trying to like push the little, because it gets bent over.
Yeah.
You know? And to me, that saved my hands. You know.
Yeah.
And things. I mean, you don't even think of the things you're gonna need until it happens.
No.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about putting your shoes on because you've put them on
All the
every
time.
day since you were 4.
Right. And this, you know, I thought this because you do so much with seniors and you have all this stuff, and I thought it would be a great.
Yeah, it's just something that people don't think about. Again, like the larger utensils or something where you don't have to bend over, or the grabber that you have right there.
Yes.
That,
This is nice.
being able to grab things off a higher shelf so you're
use
not
this.
climbing on footstools and step ladders. Because I know y'all out there on step ladders.
I use this myself because I get things out of the garage.
Yeah. So,
But I mean, it's one of those things. Now this is like it's a comb. I know it looks weird, but when you get to the point when you can't raise your hand, or you broke your wrist, or you can comb your hair, And it looks silly, but it works.
Well, because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's movements and things like that, whether, again, just through our body aging or something happening to us. Now you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. But some of these things just make it,
so much easier.
again, maintaining your independence.
Right. And we love these. So guys or women, this
What the heck is that?
This is a button closure.
Huh.
You know how you have buttons on and you know your hands get kind of
Yeah.
like, you could actually slide your button in here and then you put it through the hole.
I'll
and
be
you
darned.
pull it, and it's like, oh, that is so simple, you know, but you probably can get this into Amazon too.
But again, arthritis, other things, again, Parkinson's and other things that may make things difficult. Again, independence, being able to button your own shirt,
Yes.
not having to have somebody come in and do that for you. That's huge.
And two, you sometimes get where you can't hold a pen. And these are like little rubber stoppers. You put them on there and you can grip on
Yeah.
them.
Again, goes back to the big grip.
Yeah, that. And, everybody has a pill deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one comes with the ones you crush in the bottom. And Jerry got to the point where he couldn't, I had to crush all his pills.
You couldn't
No, he got to the point where he couldn't do that. So if you have trouble swallowing pills, you can also crush them. So, and to me, that was easy because it just,
Yeah.
you can
just
put
makes
it in
easy.
anything.
And doesn't go shooting across the kitchen when you try and do it with a spoon.
And if you have problems with your feet swelling, get some of these, and you can actually put your feet in them every night. And no, it's not like you have one leg. I have two of these.
You keep saying that.
But anyway. And by the time you get up in the morning, your feet have gone down.
Yeah.
So, and they've got something about circulation or something.
Yeah. Does it have a
No,
No, it doesn't move. It's just soft.
Just soft, and you got little tabs.
Things in there. Interesting.
And to me, that was like Jerry's feet would swell, and that was neat. And but this is a slide.
Yeah, the slider board.
Yeah, and if you haven't got one of these things will save your life. If you're in a wheelchair or you're trying to get out of bed.
So you put it on the bed, between the bed and the chair, so that the individual can just slide across it, and you don't have to really pick them up. And
Right, and one thing my husband's an engineer, so one thing he did was he used gravity.
yeah,
He would get the bed up here and the chairs down here, so he just
slide down.
So, I mean, those are things, and everybody knows what this is.
Gate belt.
Gate belt. And
Cup that you can just put on a wheelchair or on a walker or something like that. Just
you might as well make your life really easy on you.
Well, and on you too, as a caregiver,
Yes.
right? I think a lot of times, and this could be a whole other episode on caregiving, caregivers need to remember they need to take care of themselves too.
Yes.
Right. And I have another friend. She lives with her father. Her father's in his 80s, and he's very, very able to take care of himself. I saw this. This guy went up about 30 stairs faster than I did. Right.
Oh, wow.
But he does still need somebody kind of paying attention. Right. And we were on a business trip and we were sharing a hotel room, and you could just tell she was suddenly relaxing. And I gave her permission to relax. You're a caregiver. You are caring for your father every day. You're worried about him. And she just kind of, and it brought tears, right? Because that emotional release of that. And if people say, well, my mother's in a senior living community, so I'm not a caregiver. Well, you are, because you're making sure that those caregivers are caring for her. If you're bringing them groceries, if you are bringing library books, if you are worried about them, if you're managing their health care appointments, if you're managing all that, you are still a caregiver. And so you need to make sure that you are also taking care of yourself.
And I want to talk real quick about this, is caring for your financial, business, because you need to have everything in place.
Yes.
Because, I don't care if you're in your 30s, you still need to do that.
If you are 18 years of age and you have a checking account, you need a will.
Yeah. And like they say, if you don't have a will in the state of Texas, Texas has one for you.
Yes. I mean, and I can get on a soapbox all day long about wills and trusts. And I don't care how old you are, and I don't care if you don't own a house or you feel like you don't have anything, because I will tell you what, if you don't have a will, it's going to cost your family more.
Yes.
And it's going to take them 5 times as long.
Right.
If you have a will, it still has to be probated in the state of Texas. However, it will go a lot more quickly
Yes.
than no will. And if you have a trust, then it doesn't have to be probated at all and it's private. So that's about as far as I can talk without being an attorney. So I try not to talk too much attorney speak, but that is what I know.
And that's something to really, really, keep in mind because, you never know.
No.
You could be in a car wreck or you can be whatever. But to me, that's an important aspect of.
Well, and you mentioned that your husband had a DNR. And so having, you want to have your wishes already laid out. Should something, just using Jerry as an example,
Right.
where, he had a disease that was progressing and then, something happens and he can't speak for himself anymore. He's going to rely on you and the documentation he put in place. And you were able to get that enforced for him.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your wishes are carried out.
And you need to know and tell other people where your documents are.
It's called a knockbox,
Yes.
a next of kin box.
Because otherwise, depending on what state you live in, Texas got some really weird rules, but depending on what state you live in, they're all different.
They are all different.
So,
they are all different.
So always remember that. But that was one of the things.
We've got a little rabbit holes that we keep going down, but there's so many things, right? And that's really why I created the podcast that I do, so that we could touch on all these different things, because everything's going to come up. It's all going to come up.
Right. And the one thing about Robin, she covers vast different amounts of things. And that is really good because, if you missed one show, you can always go back and watch it. But also, she touches on things that, I didn't think about that.
Don't think about it. And because I don't think about it, I run across people in my daily things that I do, and I just put them on the show because I'm finding it interesting. So somebody else probably will as well. And the talking about the scams and protecting yourself and your loved ones, about, when we all hear it, right? It all gets on the news and it all comes out about, oh my gosh, I thought my granddaughter was in trouble and so I sent them this money to bail her out or whatever it is. And you will sit there and say, oh, how do they fall for that? But with the technology now, in fact, this special agent got a call from someone that he would swear to this day was his son. And being who he was, and his knowledge, he started detecting how that what they were saying didn't sound right.
Right. Okay.
Right? Like, he wouldn't say that, or that's not how he speaks, or something like that. But the voice was straight up his son's.
Oh, that's scary.
Straight up. And so it's things like that, the key to that is if somebody calls you and says, Grandma, it's Robin, and I've been arrested and I need bail money.
Grandma's been arrested.
Well, Grandma's been arrested. Whatever. Yeah. Hang up the phone and call, your granddaughter's mother, your daughter, call the person themselves. Call somebody. You make the call. Don't just believe because people are calling you. That is, the big thing is hang up and I'll call you back. And you hang up, and then you call the number that is their phone number.
And a lot of times, I don't answer the phone. I'll let it go over to the recorder, and then they can say whatever they want to say. And sometimes it's not like that.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to answer it.
Well, and one of the things he said, too, he goes, because I told my mom, look, the only people calling you are me or my sister Tracy. So if our face doesn't show up on your phone, you don't need to answer it. And he said, well, and I get that when it's, your mom and she really is, nobody should be calling her and you're managing all her finances and all those sorts of things. He said, but I don't want people to be afraid to answer their phone.
Yeah, that's true.
I want people to feel free to answer their phone, but know how to detect things that may not be true. Know how to decipher because straight up somebody could sound like your daughter or your son or your mother or whomever it might be. They've got AI that can do that now.
So, that's real scary. It really is because you don't even know what's
Sounds really scary to get old, doesn't it? You've got all that stuff. You're not going to be able to hold your fork and people are trying to rip you up and you're going to fall down and all that. But that's not the case. What I'm saying is let's just plan long term so that we can live the life and age and have the longevity that we choose to have.
And that's it. You have to make the choice.
Yes. It's about choosing.
It's not about things happening to you.
Right.
Everything's going to
Things are going to happen around you, and it's how you respond to it and how you are able to how you're able to respond and what plans you have in place. And just because you make a plan does not mean you can't change the plan.
Yes.
Right? A plan is in a will and a trust, and all those plans are meant to have it there. And then in a few years,
things change.
Maybe you fall out of favor with somebody, or maybe you sell that lake house so that's not an issue anymore, or maybe whatever it is. So you can go back and change the plan, but you need a plan so that is, in place should something terrible happen.
Yes.
And you need it.
Yes. In this day and age, you never know. I mean, you could be sitting in a cafe having coffee, and the next thing you know,
That's right. I mean, just last month, I was rear-ended by an older gentleman, and I don't know how he wasn't hurt, because he had a medical incident while driving. So he accelerated into the back of my pickup truck.
Oh, my gosh.
And his airbags went off, and he was probably in his 70s or 80s, and he was not injured. But he had a medical incident that caused him to pass out, and he hit the accelerator. So that could have been so much worse for everybody concerned than it was. So what I'm saying is we just don't know when something might happen outside of our control. So we need to have certain things in place so that should they happen, somebody that knows and loves us and we trust can take care of it, whether it's your children, a neighbor, a niece, a nephew, a trusted friend, whoever that might be. We need those people in our lives so that when we're unable to vocalize for ourselves. Jerry had you.
Yes.
You were there. He had some DNRs and he had some documents in place so that his wishes could be honored.
Right.
You found things to help keep him in his independence while his disease progressed, and he got to make those choices on his own.
That's correct. And that's the one thing that's so important. He got to make those choices because we did things that would actually help him not get worse, and not get exhausted, and not progress this disease. So to me, you have to be really proactive, and when you have a loved one, I don't know what it is. It's just something clicks in you like, okay, it's not like this is like on a fast track.
Yeah, right? Because, I mean, you didn't expect Jerry to get ill, and then he was. And so now it's, okay, we need to take care of business.
Yes.
Because what if this happened to me and then my daughter or my child or somebody's going to have to take care of me? So I want to make what we didn't have in place here, I want to make sure I have in place there because I don't want somebody else to go through what I had to go through. So it's just all planning and making your own decisions based on what you choose to do.
Oh, before we get out of here, let Robin give you all her information and her podcast and
all the things. There's so many things. And thank you, Rebecca, for having me on this show. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Robin McCoy. I am a realtor here in Dallas by trade. Been doing that for about 17 years. As you mentioned, as I got older, suddenly all my clients and their parents were getting older, and I realized that there was this gap in education and knowledge that people needed. And then when I started having to work through some stuff with my mother, and I had resources, right? I know people that own senior living communities and home health care and Medicare. And I knew nothing. And I had resources. So I couldn't imagine what people were going through that didn't have someone to pick up the phone and call. And the number of times I was crying in the lobbies of assisted living and in my truck and not knowing which way to turn. So I said, okay, this is my sign, my catalyst that I need to share what I've learned, go out and learn more and share that as well. And that's where the podcast came from. And so you can find it on all the iTunes and the Spotifys and all of that. It's also on my YouTube channel. You just need to search either my name or Relax I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. And, subscribe to the channel. Maybe there's something that you want to listen to. Let me know. Reach out to me and say, I'd really like to learn more about X. And I'll find the expert. I'll find them and we'll get them on the show and talk about it. So it's really been fulfilling. I want to help people, whatever their next chapter and what their longevity journey looks like. I want to be that resource if you need someone you can trust for senior placement or for, adapting your home to be safe or any of those things. I have those resources, so I can be the person you call and I can help you out there.
Okay. Do you have an email?
No, robinmccoy@kw.com. I am working on my new website, so we'll have that out soon. But right now, it's just robinmccoyrealty.com. We're going to do better. It's under construction right now.
No, it takes a while.
It takes a while. It takes a lot of people smarter than me to put it all together because I just kind of throw up everything. Go make that. Go do that. And always you can call me 214-226-3770.
And thank you so much. And we are so delighted you got to come today.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
And big shout out to everybody and have a blessed and wonderful weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.